Hi, I'm Booth Parker, and today on the 12 days of Christmas cooking, we are going to make a whole beef tenderloin for Christmas dinner. So this one here is about a little over 7 pounds. It was not fully trimmed, so I would need to still trim it. A lot of the times you can order them fully trimmed, but if they're not trimmed when you get them, you're going to need to cut this silver skin and stuff away. So we are going to prep this now. This part can be done the day ahead if you wanted to, but we are going to prep this and then it's going to set on the counter for about 2 hours to get completely room temperature, and then we will begin cooking it. So the silver skin actually comes away pretty easily. You just kind of lift up and you're just going to cut away and pull it. There's a little underlayer here I'm going to go back and get. There's kind of a big piece here. Just cut it away. And then any other kind of just areas of fat that weren't trimmed off, you're going to want to trim those as well. You can leave a little bit on for flavor, but this thick silver skin and the larger pieces of fat, you're definitely going to want to peel off and cut away from the meat. So you're going to want to go all the way around the tenderloin, cutting this away. Okay, so I've cut that whole silver skin layer off. As you can see, there's still a little marbling here, and that's fine to keep. You want that, it helps give flavor. But the actual hard chunks in the silver skin is what you need to cut away if it's not already trimmed when you get it. So you can see that this is a long tenderloin, and this end is significantly smaller than this end here. And so what you want to do is you want to wrap this end up underneath like that so that it's more uniform in size for cooking. That way it gets cooked a little more evenly. The thinner parts will get more done, so that way if there's people that want something more done and some more rare, there will be a little variation. Even if you're planning to cook this to medium rare, which is what I'm planning to, I check that temperature in a thick part of the meat, and so there will always be some end pieces that are smaller, that are a little more done. So once you've tucked it under like this, you want to tie it up, and I like to put some rosemary sprigs in here. So in here where I have folded it back, I'm going to put a few sprigs in here, and got some I can tuck in right there. And then once we get it tied up, I'll stick some up underneath the twine. So I have cooking twine here. You want to make sure you have food grade. I've got cooking twine, and this end is one big piece, but I'm still going to go ahead and tie it up so that it holds tight the shape of the entire tenderloin. So I'm going to do that here. There are some fancy ways to weave the string and everything. I tend just to use multiple pieces and tie it going down, and then I'll do one big long one running the length of the tenderloin. And I will go back and trim this little excess off in just a minute. So I'm going to just slide it up underneath here. This is where it's folded back, so you want to make sure you get it good and tight when you tie it. So I'm going to pull it really tight and kind of hold it as if I was tying a bow on a present. So I keep it nice and tight and pull it tight. There we go. I'm going to run under here, get one about midway, about right here. So now that one's nice and tight. I'm actually going to do one more here on this end where the actual fold is, just so that when you're picking it up and things like that, it is less likely to fall apart. Okay, so I have those pieces tied up. I've got one real long piece here. I'm going to lay it underneath, just like so. Make sure it's completely, all right, there we go. So it's completely underneath. I'm going to pull it nice and tight. And I am going to just tie it just like this to help hold the shape. Okay, so that is gonna help hold the shape. I'm gonna take my kitchen scissors and I'm gonna trim off this excess. And I tell you what, I am going to, just to hold it nice and tight, I do like to tie that long one here to the center. And that'll just help a little bit more. So I'm gonna trim off the excess, just like so. And then I'm going to put some more rosemary sprigs up underneath the string. The rosemary makes it smell amazing while it's cooking, and it just adds a little more flavor, complements the beef really well. Goes great with a glass of Camus if you're really splurging on your Christmas wine, or maybe a little Bella Gloss. Those are some of my favorite reds for special occasions. So I'm just going to keep putting the rosemary around, just tucking it gently under the string. Makes it look really pretty. Got a few more sprigs. My rosemary bushes are looking strong. If you don't have rosemary bushes, you can still buy fresh sprigs in the produce section at your store. There's a little bit where the fold is. All right, so this is ready to set. So it needs to set probably about 2 hours to get completely room temperature. I have my roasting pan here. I'm gonna go ahead and set it in the roasting pan before we sear it and put it in the oven. So again, about 2 hours to set out, and then we will get it cooking. Okay, so now what we're going to do is put the rub on the tenderloin. So I've got 4 tablespoons of butter, and I'm just gonna brush it on, and then I have made my rub. It is 1 tablespoon of kosher salt and 4 tablespoons of Montreal steak seasoning. I'm just gonna put this all over so that the rub will adhere well. Okay, and now I'm going to carefully roll it over. All right, so that is on. So next I'm just going to take the rub and I'm going to sprinkle it on, and it's going to adhere pretty well since there is the melted butter. So we want to try to get it even on the sides. So we're going to sprinkle just like that. And I'm going to roll it to the other side real quick as well. There we go. I want to get some real good here. We want to get the ends real good. Makes a little bit of a mess doing this part. Nice and thick. This will kind of make a little bit of a crust when we sear it, and gives a lot of flavor. All right, kind of missed a spot here, so let me get it real good. Might have to pat it on the ends a little bit. Okay, so here I have the rub on. Now, the next part we're going to do is sear this. So you're going to want to sear basically all 4 sides, not just the top and the bottom. Going to do probably 3, maybe 4 minutes on each side. If you have a pan big enough, you can definitely do it on the stove top in a pan. If you have an indoor griddle, that works great. I am going to do this on the Blackstone outside. I love the way it sears, and it will be perfect. So I'll put down a couple tablespoons of olive oil right on the griddle, and the griddle is really hot, and I'm now searing the tenderloin. I'm going to do all 4 sides for about 3 to 5 minutes on each side. Okay, so now I have this ready to go in the oven. I've seared it on all 4 sides, and I'm gonna put it in the oven at 425. It'll probably take 20 to 25 minutes. I have a thermometer to check the temperature. You can put one in and leave it in there, or you can check it as you want. Remember that it needs to come out and set for probably about 20 minutes once you take it out of the oven before you slice it. And the temperature will rise probably another 5 degrees. So when you're checking the temperature, remember that it's still gonna cook a little bit more after you take it out of the oven. So you don't want to overcook it. And I am just gonna put this in the oven, and at about 20 or 22 minutes, I'll check the temperature. It may need a few more minutes. I wanna do this medium rare, which is 120 to 125. So I'm gonna wanna take it out somewhere in the 115 to 120 range. So into the oven it goes. All right, so I have this out of the oven. It was registering right at 120. I'm gonna let it set for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna transfer it to the cutting board and let it set there. And it will continue cooking about another 5 degrees, and then we'll cut it in about 20 minutes.